Did you hear that? Shh. Listen, that's the sound of your wallet getting lighter. No, it's not just you, it's real. Here's a number that should make you sit up straight. Over 1 million. That's how many federal workers lost their right to bargain for their pay and their working conditions in the first year of the second Trump administration. Think about that for a second. 1 million people, a huge chunk of the unionized federal workforce, suddenly had the microphone turned off. They were silenced. This wasn't some abstract policy debate on cable news. This was a direct hit, a massive, historic move that made one man the single largest union buster in American history. This isn't just a story about them. It's a story about you. It's about why everything feels so damn expensive all of a sudden. It's about the quiet, creeping costs that have been added to your life, one policy change at a time. This is the story of the hidden bill, the one they slid onto your table when you weren't looking. We're talking about 47 different ways life got harder and more expensive for regular people. It's not your imagination. The numbers are real, the pain is real, and it all started with choices made in Washington that landed squarely on the kitchen tables of families across the country. Let's be honest, most of us don't track every single decision made by the federal government. Who has the time? You're busy working, raising kids, trying to figure out what to make for dinner. But while you were living your life, a series of moves were made that systematically tilted the economic playing field. It wasn't one big dramatic event. It was a slow, steady chipping away at the things that protect working families. It was like a game of Jenga where they kept pulling out the bottom blocks, hoping the whole thing wouldn't crash down. Well, for millions of people, it's starting to wobble. The story starts small, with a single rule change here, a tariff there. But it builds. The stakes get higher. It's a story about your job, your paycheck, your healthcare, your power as a worker. It's about the real people who are feeling this pinch every single day. People like you and me. People who were promised a booming economy and instead got a bigger bill. We need to talk about how this happened. Because if you don't know how they're taking your money, you'll never know how to get it back. So let's break it down. So how did they do it? It wasn't just one thing. It was a coordinated attack on 5 fronts. Think of it like a 5-finger punch aimed right at the gut of the American middle class. First, they came for your wages and your economic security. They put in place policies designed to hold your pay down. One of the biggest ways they did this was by crippling unions, which we saw with those 1 million federal workers. When unions are weak, workers lose their collective voice. It's harder to ask for a raise. It's harder to demand better benefits. The result? Your paycheck stagnates while the cost of everything else just keeps going up. It's a quiet squeeze that leaves you with less at the end of every month. Second, they went after job creation. There were big promises. Liberation Day and tariffs would bring factories roaring back. But the numbers tell a different story. Manufacturers started cutting jobs. From April to December 2025, the country lost a net total of 72,000 manufacturing jobs. Speeches were loud and proud, factory floors got quieter. People who were banking on these new jobs found themselves out of work, staring at promises that had turned to dust. The dream of a manufacturing revival became, for many, a harsh reality of layoffs. Third, they dismantled workers' rights. This is where it gets really sneaky. They scrapped rules that guaranteed a minimum wage for hundreds of thousands of workers on federal contracts. They even reversed a policy that stopped companies from paying disabled workers less than the minimum wage. Let that sink in. They made it legal to pay some of the most vulnerable people in society less than the basic wage. And just to make sure workers couldn't fight back, the administration crippled the National Labor Relations Board, the one government body that's supposed to protect your right to organize. By firing its chair, they left it without enough members to even make a decision. It's like firing the referee so your team can cheat. Fourth, they cranked up the power of employers. When you weaken workers' rights and gut the agencies that enforce them, you hand all the power to the bosses. This isn't just theory, it has real-world consequences. It creates an environment where employers feel empowered to cut corners, to suppress wages, and to fight union drives tooth and nail. The balance of power, which was already tilted, was pushed even further in favor of corporations. And as we've seen time and time again, when corporate profits are the only thing that matters, it's the workers who pay the price with lower wages, fewer benefits, and less job security. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. This is about real life. It's about the stress you feel when you're standing in the grocery aisle, watching the prices climb. Food prices in December rose 3.1% from the year before, which was way faster than other goods. That means your grocery bill is a bigger and bigger slice of your budget. Remember the holidays? They got more expensive too. The cost of gifts jumped by a staggering 26%, forcing more than 40% of people to buy fewer presents for their loved ones. These aren't luxuries. This is the stuff of life. These are the small joys that are being priced out of reach for millions of families. Then there's your health. This is where the story gets truly terrifying. The safety nets that so many people rely on have been shredded. Following the expiration of subsidies that made insurance affordable, about 1.4 million fewer people were able to sign up for Obamacare coverage this year. Premiums are soaring. For the 24 million Americans who lost those subsidies on January 1st, their insurance costs are expected to basically double. Meanwhile, there's a plan to force an estimated 10 million of the poorest and most disabled Americans off of Medicaid. Think about that choice. Do you pay for your medicine or do you pay for your rent? This is the impossible decision these policies are creating. Let's talk about that paycheck. The one you work so hard for. For most people, it's not stretching as far as it used to. Real wage growth, which is your pay after you account for inflation, has slowed way down. For workers with a high school education or less, it actually fell. Same for those with associate degrees. So while the prices for gas, food, and electricity are all going up, household electricity costs were 9% higher in August than at the start of 2025. Your ability to pay for it all is shrinking. You're running faster and faster on the treadmill, but you're actually moving backward. It's a feeling of desperation that is spreading across the country. And people are feeling it, deep in their bones. Consumer sentiment, which is just a fancy way of saying, you know, how people feel about the economy, fell in November to the second lowest level ever recorded. Ever. Since they started tracking it in 1952. That's not a political statement. That's a cry of frustration. It's the collective voice of millions of people saying, this is not working. It's the teacher who can't afford a house in the district where she teaches. It's the factory worker who got laid off from the job he was told was secure. It's the parents who have to say no to their kids more and more often. This is the human cost. Imagine you're a worker. A construction worker. A barista. A warehouse packer. You believe you're being treated unfairly. Maybe your boss is stealing your wages, or maybe you're working in unsafe conditions. In the past, you had a shield. You had a government agency you could call, a set of rules that were supposed to protect you. But what happens when that shield disappears? What happens when the people in charge decide that protecting corporations is more important than protecting you? That's exactly what has been happening. The government in many ways has become ineffective by design. Take the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB. This is the agency that's supposed to be the cop on the beat for labor law. It ensures you have the right to form a union without getting fired. But on January 27, 2025, the administration fired the board's chair, leaving it crippled. Without a quorum, enough members to actually vote and make decisions, the board is effectively frozen. So if you're a worker who was illegally fired for trying to organize your workplace, your case just sits there. You're left in limbo without a paycheck, while the agency that's supposed to help you is powerless to act. Your shield is gone. This wasn't an accident. It was a strategy. By hollowing out the agencies responsible for enforcing the rules, the administration made it easier for employers to get away with, well, almost anything. And it wasn't just the NLRB. Other agencies that oversee workplace safety and wage theft have also been weakened. It's a pattern. You defund the agency, you remove its leaders, and you stop enforcing the rules. The result is that employers who want to exploit their workers face fewer consequences. It creates a race to the bottom, where the companies that treat their employees the worst are often the ones that profit the most. And this brings us back to that 1 million. The massive group of federal workers stripped of their bargaining rights. They weren't just any workers. They were prison guards. scientists, and healthcare professionals at the VA. When you take away their ability to speak up about working conditions, it doesn't just hurt them. It can affect the safety of our prisons or the quality of care our veterans receive. An ineffective government isn't just a political slogan. It means the services you count on, from food safety inspections to environmental protection, are being done with fewer resources and by a workforce that has been told to sit down and shut up. The shield protects us all, and right now, it's broken. So where does all this leave us? It leaves us in what experts are calling a K-shaped economy. Imagine the letter K. One line goes up, one line goes down. For the wealthy, for large corporations, things are going up. The Big and Beautiful Act, the big tax bill, delivered massive cuts, fueling stock buybacks, soaring profits. Their line is heading straight for the sky. But for the other 80% of us, the working class, the middle class, our line is going down. This K-shape is being carved by policy. The tariffs are costing the average household up to $1,700 a year. The deregulation, the union busting, the weakened worker protections, all of it pushes the two lines further apart. It's a system that is actively transferring wealth and power upward. For 46 years, real wages for most workers have been basically frozen. The affordability crisis isn't just inflation. It's that you haven't been getting your fair share. These new policies threw gasoline on the fire. So what do you watch for next? Watch the quiet costs. Don't just look at the sticker price of a car. Look at your electricity bill. Look at your health insurance premium. Look at the cost of groceries. These are the places where the hidden bill shows up. Pay attention to stories about workers trying to form a union and the obstacles they face. That's the front line of the fight for a fair wage. And watch what happens to those government agencies, the ones that are supposed to be your shield. Are they being rebuilt, or are they being left to wither? Ultimately, this is a story about power. Who has it, who doesn't? When policy favors the powerful, you get record frustration, growing inequality, and crushing costs for everyday families. This isn't about left versus right. It's about up versus down. These choices made life less affordable and less secure for millions. The end of this story hasn't been written yet. But if we don't pay attention to the real cost, we'll be stuck paying a bill that just keeps getting bigger. You know.